be consistent, and be on video. You can do that, you can like crush probably half of your competition.
Learning from your mistakes is the most important thing.
True definition of fear is false evidence appearing real.
To make sure that I become that person.
I could be the start of your doors opening. You can't go wrong.
Simplify it.
It's pivoting.
How to get that number right.
That's my inspiration.
We just kept going.
It's just different.
I really feel like it's a God idea.
Man, you want to buy the right one.
We all really have more money than you think.
Keep it tracked to you pay the most.
And to look yourself in the mirror.
And push yourself forward.
You still have the opportunity.
The biggest thing that's going to hold investors back is mindset.
First of all, it's demand. That's like what I'm looking for.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I got another amazing guest right here on this platform. I'm really excited, but you know the role. I got to go through the bio first. So, born and raised in Philadelphia, BS degree in psychology from Howard University. His professional career has primarily been in the financial services industry. Over the preceding 20 years, he has served successfully as a mortgage loan officer, housing counselor, and in loss mitigation as a foreclosure prevention counselor. His current assignment is that of Community Reinvestment Mortgage Loan Officer for Fulton Mortgage Company in the Philadelphia Metropolitan area. In this capacity, he serves as one of the point persons for Fulton Bank in its efforts to ensure that each citizen in the Philadelphia vicinity be informed and have access to financial resources that assist them in attaining homeownership and, just as importantly, maintaining homeownership. Among his affiliations are a member of Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, Sullivan Trust Board Member, Philadelphia Metropolitan Board of Realist Member, NAACP Member, African American Chamber of Commerce, and he has a passion for utilizing his vocation as a resource for others in the community. Each of his professional endeavors has been distinguished by impeccable customer service. He is an advocate of the adage that trust is earned, not granted. He asserts that he has been in the mortgage industry long enough to know that products alone are not sufficient, but it is the service, knowledge, integrity, commitment, accessibility, accountability, and the ability to produce positive results to the person that accompanies said products that make the difference. And ladies and gentlemen, I have him on the show. King, Julius, Sharpe, appreciate you, brother. How are you doing today, man?
Good morning, bro. Who is that guy?
Listen, I'm talking about you, man. I'm talking about you. Nobody talking about you, but Shaq.
Who is that masked man?
Do the shadows.
Yeah, man. Good to see you again, my brother. Good to see you again.
Same here. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being on this platform. But we're going to get right into it, man. So you've been doing this for quite some time, helping many, many families, and even more so, I hope that you recognize this, King Julius, but you have created generational wealth. I know you probably know this already, but I just want to give a reminder to you as well as the folks out here. So with that, my first question, where do I start when I am considering purchasing a home?
Well, the first thing, there's a lot of resources now for people. And one of the resources is HUD certified housing counseling agencies. They normally have classes, I think probably every Saturday during the week. And the reason I always emphasize that, because when you go into a counseling agency, they're giving what I call objective information to you about the process, what you should think about in buying a house, things such as budget, programs that may be available. And in conjunction with that, you should also, you could do it simultaneously, seek to consult with a loan officer. And when I say consult, I always emphasize not just, quote, going online, literally setting up an appointment, speaking in person, over the phone. A loan officer, that's supposed to be your consultant, if you will. That person is a person who also should be well knowledgeable in the different programs, different mortgage programs, so that when you start this process, you are prepared. You're prepared what to expect from a financial standpoint, what to expect from a program standpoint, what to expect for monies that you may need to complete the transaction. So I'm big on doing the due diligence up front before you actually start looking for a home. And both of these people, whether it's the counselor or your loan officer, this is part of your team. They should be advocates for you fulfilling that quest of home ownership.
I love that. Thank you so much for that breakdown. And I've been doing the real estate game for about a little over 5 years now. Thank you so much, Keller Williams. But what I come across is, folks are like, I don't want to be giving my information for the pre-approval process. I don't want to be having to go through the application. What if I get denied? What if I get rejected? Points is going to be taken off. I see it as a benefit because, me and the client are able to walk in to the house that they're approved for, and it just makes things that much easier. From your perspective and your point of view, because you've been doing this for quite some time, why should folks get pre-approved before they even start their search?
Well, as you just stated, first and foremost, for most of us, when we're purchasing a home, it's going to be the most important, most expensive purchase that we make. An experienced realtor such as yourself, when you're taking someone out, you want to know definitively, and the customer wants to know definitively as well. What do I actually qualify for? I mean, this is preparation. And your statement about, you're right, a lot of folks be concerned with, hey, you're going to pull a hard credit. Hey, suppose if. There's a lot of ifs. But here's the point. Unless you go through the process, you're just surmising. You have conversations with folks, well, my cousin said this and uncle said that, okay, etc. But until you actually go through the process, you really don't know what you can afford and what it's going to cost. Or the old saying, a dream deferred is not a dream denied. So don't have a fear factor. Hey, I might get denied. Well, if you get denied, okay, now you need to find out, what do I need to do to get approved, right? Okay. So the other part, as far as credit, you're right. When you're buying a home, there's no circumventing it. So all this stuff was get away from the fear. And I call it fear. My credit score is going to drop. Your credit score changes each and every day, whether we realize it or not. Okay, you pay a bill, it changes. You go use a car, it changes. Okay, but here's the point. You can't get around it, because if someone's going to lend you hundreds of thousands of dollars, yes, they are going to check your credit. Two, unless that's done, again, you really don't know what you can actually qualify for. Now, here's another sidebar to credit concern. When you really have made up your mind, this is what I'm going to do, and you start searching, you can have your credit pulled by several banks, okay, within a 35, 40-day window, and it will have minimal effect on your credit report. So in certain things, we always know it's like going to work. You have to get up in the morning.
Yeah,
that's part of the process. So if I'm buying a house, I have to have my credit ran, and I have to have it ran by that bank that's going to lend me the money. But most importantly, again, is letting you know exactly where you stand, what may be affecting your credit score. So you remember I said at the start, it's about the loan officer being an advocate, having those discussions. So, hey, if I can't qualify now, you don't want to be in a situation where, let's face it, a lot of times we're not dealing person to person. I get a denial, and all it says, well, your credit. Well, okay, thank you for letting me know. But what do I need to do if I am denied, right, in order to prepare to buy a home? And then again, lastly, experienced realtor like yourself, like you said, when you're going out, taking people to these homes, you want to know definitively they can buy the house. I always tell folks, this is not window shopping. I mean, it's a nice, beautiful day. And I'm sure, Dan, you like being around people. But when you take someone out, you really want to know, can they buy this house? And when you're making a bid, the seller is feeling you. So it's a whole process. When you go out, it's a certain thing. When you know something, you exude a certain amount of confidence, right? When you know that you're approved, you know how your money is. When you walk into that house and make that offer, people can feel it's a solid pre-approval. Because remember, there's a lot of other people making offers too. And trust me, they're filling out whether or not, quote, not that you've been pre-qualified, which is just a conversation. Hey, I make this. Hey, I'm 6'4". Hey, I weigh 210. Hey, I can dunk a basketball. They want to see it. Okay? So don't be fearful of that. Again, doing the due diligence up front, and then it's a smooth ride.
I love it. I love it. And I want to add on 2 resources that folks can do right now. You can search it. I forget the specific name of the website, but you can get a free credit check report, once a year. Before, I know during COVID, they had it where you could pretty much check it every 15 minutes if you want. But I know you can do a free annual credit check report. The other thing too is, folks, this is the time to listen. So take down some notes, go into a mirror, look at yourself, and ask yourself, what am I currently behind on? That's it. If you behind on a payment, trust and believe that has an effect on your credit. So work on things, work on steps to build that up. And if you feel that is one of the roadblocks, I still encourage you to reach out to Julius, reach out to myself, because it's better to walk with somebody through that journey rather than thinking you need to have that weight on your shoulders. So that's just my 2 cents.
I get that because again, just about so again, I'm always emphasizing because it's about preparation. It's not about surmising. And unless you go through the process, regardless of what someone tells you, you do not know definitively. And when you're buying a home, it's definitive numbers. It's a definitive process. So even if you feel, hey, I may not be ready now, but I might be ready in December. Well, let's get the plan started now.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now. No, I'm with you 1000%. My next question, what are some sample steps of the home purchase process?
Well, as I mentioned, when you're getting prepared, I always, encourage you to go to a HUD certified housing counseling agency, because again, you are getting objective information, but they're giving you an overview of what you're about to get into. I mean, for most of us, we sign a 30-year note. If we haven't bought a house before, there's terms and things that we're not familiar with. So, hey, it gives you like an overall idea of what's going to be involved in the process. And as I said before about different programs, making you sort of take a real hard look on what my budget really is, because the bank may approve you for something, is making you say, hey, can I really afford this? Because, I always insert banks approve us, for example, based on our gross income. But most of us don't get our gross income. And even our credit reports don't show all of our expenses. I mean, we got childcare, daycare, transportation, fun care, right? So it's making you take that thought, because the key also, we want people to get homes, but we want them to be able to stay in their home. And again, speaking with a loan officer, okay, these are the things that you're doing up front. You know that you're looking to buy a home. I always tell folks it's a documentation-oriented activity. There's no getting around it. So, hey, let me start getting my paperwork together. I'm going to need my W-2s, for example, for the last 2 years. I'm going to need my tax returns. I'm going to need my bank statements, okay? I'm going to need to have employment history that at least goes for 2 years. Yes, it's documentation, but here's the thing. When you get that together and you present it to a loan officer as well as a counselor, again, now they're able to provide you with definitive information. So those are the beginning steps. And also to exercise patience, meaning we live in that microwave world where, let's face it, everybody, you hit a button, boom. But again, I'm still from the school, you're buying a house. So when you're submitting that information, you want a person really looking at it to see what all your options may be, not just hitting the button and say, oh, here you go, Dan. So be patient, be cooperative for sure, because yes, there's a lot of documentation. Yes, you are going to be, I call it nosy Rosie, getting asked questions that you've never been asked before and never will be asked again unless you buy another home. But when you do that up front, again, the process of securing a home becomes enjoyable, because you are prepared and you're ready.
I love that. And I want to go over the 5 things. You talked about 4, but I want to go over the 5 things. You mentioned patience, as far as getting the documentation together, the W-2s, tax statements, employment history, and bank statements. Having those just now. And I say be patient because, especially those that may not be at a job anymore. Maybe they just started a new job. Maybe the last job isn't around anymore. So it may be difficult getting that W-2, maybe somebody doesn't have a top bank like Santander, PNC, no endorsements in any way, but I want to emphasize that patience you talked about, because a lot of people get frustrated, especially with technology today. It's like, well, where do I pull my bank statements from? I don't feel like going to the bank today, to get it, or, my last job, they're not even around anymore. How do I go about that information? So patience comes with obtaining those documents, having those documents, and even the follow-up. So thank you so much, Julius.
Yeah, and let me just add one other thing to the patients. When your information is submitted as well, again, you want a loan officer who's taking their time to do due diligence. There are a lot of different products out here, a lot of different mortgage programs. And you remember we were doing the bio, one of the things like, hey, knowing how the products work. There's little nuances. So when you get at a person's application, it's not just giving a quick fix. It's really diving in, exploring what are the different options that might be available to a person. What are the different closing cost assistance, seeing how they actually work. And that does take a little time sometimes, okay? So again, being patient that, hey, you may have talked to the loan officer at 2 o'clock and 2:30. Hey, well, I'm not pre-approved. Well, because the loan officer, if he or her is very serious about giving you the best option, it may take them 2 or 3 days to look through your material, do different combinations of options, because every shoe doesn't fit every foot. So being patient, not thinking that, hey, because I didn't get an instant response, someone's not looking out for my best interest.
I appreciate that. And that's actually a good segue. So let's say during those 2 to 3 days, what are some of the factors that lenders are considering when making that lending decision? They got the bank statements, they got the W-2s, they got all the information, they've asked the questions that they need. What are lenders doing now during that decision-making process, if you will?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the reason all this information is being asked for is really evaluating the risk. What banks are looking at, we call it the 3 C's. They're looking primarily at capacity, your credit, and the collateral. So when you're filling out the application, look at it as like an interview process. Yes, they're looking at the work history, the stability of the income, okay, how we've paid bills, what type of credit experience that we had. They're looking at the bank statements to see what type of monies go in and out. What are our saving habits? And when I say bank statements, retirement account, all these things may be part of your reserves, because what they're looking at, they're asking all this information because remember, you're signing a note for most times for 30 years. What they're really trying to evaluate is they're going to pay me my money on time for the next 30 years. Now, we may not stay in the house for 30 years, but the bottom line is they're being nosy, rosy looking. The underwriter, I call them the Inspector Gadgets, they're in a room and saying, has he paid Comcast on time? Does he keep a job? Hey, where did this account come from? Like I said earlier, you've been asked these questions, but because they're looking at the risk. Remember, we're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars in most cases. So they're sitting there getting all that information, connecting dots. So it's not just one quote part. I call your profile. For example, credit scores. We all talk about credit all the time. And let's say at our bank, you have to have a 620 to be considered for a mortgage. That being said, all credit scores aren't created equal. You can have a 750 credit score and not qualify for a mortgage. Really, Julius? Yeah, because maybe you just have new credit. Maybe you open up 2 accounts in December 2024 that's not even 12 months old. So you're a rookie in the credit bill. Now you're feeling good, you've got 754, but the bank may be looking, well, hey, Dan hasn't paid a lot of people in his history of life. So my point is, that's why we say going through this process, knowing, hey, how it's affecting me. My business, I'm always hearing conversations where, my Uncle Joe, he had a 660 score and he was able to get this. I've got a 700. Why can't I get this? Because it's not just your score. It's looking at your total profile. And that's why, again, you want to be patient. You be asked the questions, never taking it personal. It's evaluating you, but it's also letting you know, hey, what is going to be the best situation for you as well.
Love that. Thank you so much for that breakdown. I know we kind of talked about it earlier as far as, the 4 to 5 items. Outside of W-2s, bank statements, employment history, showing the pay stubs and all, what other documents should somebody like start getting prepared and ready to bring to the table when they're ready to talk to you as far as looking to purchase a home?
They may be getting Social Security. They may have, quote, retirement accounts. All this is part of your profile. And here's the part. You may not be using the money from your retirement account, okay? But it's part of your assets. It makes you look like a stronger borrower. So let's give a realistic example. Let's say Dan and I both had the same credit score, same job, everything's equal, right? Buying the same price house, the whole 9 yards. Now, I come to myself as a loan officer say, okay, I want to buy a $250,000 house. I've got $8,000 saved. How about any retirement? I don't have any. Dan, remember, we've got the same everything. He has $12,000 saved, and maybe he's got $25,000 in his retirement account. Now, again, his profile looks stronger because of his reserves, right? Because what you're thinking of, keeping it simple, hey, if something happens, push come to shove, Dan does have some money to cover himself for a while. So it's those little nuances that a bank is looking at, again, that can make the difference between one person getting approved at 750 credit score for one type of program and someone else getting another, because you think it's all equal, but hey, maybe the reserves push this person a little further ahead.
I love that. I love that. And so start with y'all reserves, y'all. Start building that.
And it's short. Again, I want to emphasize, because I know, hey, I work every day for a living as well. Most of us say we're saying retirement for retirement. We may not want to use those funds to purchase home, but it is good to have savings because you never know. But again, all that type of information, anything that enhances your profile is my point that you want to present. It's not, hey, if they see this, oh, they may not give me this money, okay? Because here's the point too. Even if you qualify for closing cost assistance monies, the key thing is you're going to need some monies to contribute to the transaction. And the other part is that, again, your reserves, the money you have saved, can make the difference, even if it's not money you're going to have to use, between you getting approved or not approved for a mortgage or for certain programs. And that's why you're getting all this information. It's not overindulgent, folks, but this is why we're talking about, hey, you, the loan officer, and you through this process are going back to an old school saying, you got to be ace boom coons. You got to be like this, okay? There's no secrets. He's supposed to be for you. He or she's supposed to be for you. You for them. It's a collaborative effort to fulfill your quest of home ownership.
Love that. Love that. Appreciate you, brother, on that. My next question, what are some of the mortgage products that would be available to somebody that they could be considered for?
Well, primarily in this country, it's still three. I'm going to say the main three, if you're buying residential property, is conventional, known also as Fannie Mae loans, which requires a 3% minimum down payment. FHA loans, which requires a 3.5% down payment. Those who serve the country VA, 100%, where maybe all you're doing is your earnest money deposit and it's complete financing. Or for those of us, the fourth one, who want to be old McDonald on a farm, you have what you call USDA loans, which can get 100% financing. Those are the four major categories. Now, within that, for example, with Fannie Mae, there are different types of Fannie Mae loans, though. You can get a loan that may require private mortgage insurance or may not. You say, well, Julius, why is that a difference? Because, for example, if I don't have to pay private mortgage insurance, that could reduce my total monthly housing payment, okay? I know we always hear about rate, for example, but one can have a Fannie Mae loan where you're not paying private mortgage insurance, where your interest rate may be higher, but your overall monthly payment is lower because you don't have private mortgage insurance. Again, that's what we're talking about, going through the tree, the options when you're applying. The loan officer, he or she's supposed to be going through these options to see what's best for you. But those are the four major products. In most cases with Fannie Mae or FHA, if you're putting down less than 20%, you're going to be required to pay private mortgage insurance unless, again, it's with Fannie Mae, you qualify for a non-private mortgage insurance loan. I mean, our bank, for example, has a combo loan where it's 100% financing without private mortgage insurance. So there's a menu of different products that are out here now to, quote, address people of different income levels, different profile levels, to again see, hey, what can be best to hopefully assist you in getting that dream home.
Love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, King Julius. Before we get into, or I should say before we wrap up here, because I got a couple more questions for you. How can folks get in contact with you? Is there a number, email address, or even follow you on social media?
Yes, man, I'm sure we had nothing to flash on that. Well, my best contact number, my office is actually located at 1501 North Broad Street, right at Temple University campus. The best contact number is 267-979-6924. Again, that's 267-979-6924. I always encourage people, if they call and I don't answer the phone, please leave a message. I do return calls. Yes, email, and I don't know if this is going to be posted later on Zoom, is yes, everything, okay, lowercase, J Sharpe, SHARPE, at Fulton, FULTON, mortgage, MORTGAGE.com. So that's J Sharpe at Fulton Mortgage Company.com. So either one, and on the website, of course, you can go even Google me, but the best part is really phone calls or email. And I'm still a person who like to talk to folks, so I always like to say, hey, call. Because that way we can chat and we can find out what's particular to you. I talked about all these products, but let's face it, everybody wants to know, hey, what's particular to me, Julius? What kind of money can I get? What type of closing cost assistance can I get? And that's why I'm always big on having that conversations.
I love that. Love that. Thank you so much. And I want to switch gears a little bit here. You've been doing this for quite some time. Let's say somebody is coming across this video, this interview 6 months, maybe even a year from now, and they're like, hey, I want to become a mortgage loan officer. What advice would you give to somebody, getting into the field of becoming a mortgage loan officer?
Boy, go to a psychiatrist. No. No, it's actually ironic. It's not really a major school. It's almost like we always talk about in education, kids going to school, and we don't really have classes for them, financial classes, right? I mean, it's getting so more so now, but we're really not taught about credit, how to handle money. I came into the business, he said, I majored in psychology, knock, knock, but now I'm a loan officer. But if someone's interested, I would probably say to really probably, now this may sound strange, but housing counseling, starting through that is a good way, okay? Because housing counselors interact a lot with banks. Now, you might have a financial background as well, okay, where you've gone to school. I'm just saying in terms of transferring that knowledge. So you might start off, let's say, for example, our bank has what they call loan officer assistants, okay? They're not the primary loan officer, but hey, perhaps I can get in as a loan officer assistant because now I can learn the primary role of being a loan officer. Numbers, okay, because there's a lot of numerical data. You can start out by trying to learn how to be a counselor, because counseling definitely does have classes, and it works closely with mortgage companies to find about the different products, the different information that's needed. So that's a good transfer skills. And also apply for a bank. You may have to start off now, of course. Maybe I start off as a teller, but I need to get into the financial realm, if you will. Real example, for example, how I started, I was actually, and this is definitely going back, I was running a call center. And I always wanted to get into finances. It was just something in my head, like a major psychologist. How can I switch over? But the fact that I managed a call center, I ended up applying for a job that a guy was doing what they call biweekly mortgages. And he needed someone to, quote, run his call center, right? So that was my end, biweekly mortgages. I'm running the call center. Now I learned about mortgages, and I was able then to get into the mortgage industry. But that was a start. It was like a starting point. So for some folks, maybe again, joining the bank, because banks are always looking for loan officers. But you have to get into the financial industry somehow, some way. And again, you may not start, as a loan officer, but that will allow you to get the training, because the banks will normally train within more so than say, hey, we're looking for loan officers to train. But if you're already in the bank, they may, most of us have job postings. They seem to be more willing to train someone who's gotten that basic skill, right? You're dealing with people, you're dealing with numbers. Hey, now a loan officer position open. Now maybe I could go to a loan officer assistant and then as a loan officer.
I love that. And I want to point out the key thing that you had mentioned outside of the education, outside of the experience, is the passion for helping people.
Oh, absolutely.
One of my key tips, becoming a realtor, because before, dating myself just a little bit here, I was doing the wholesaling thing for a little bit. And somebody had told me, a realtor friend of mine that said, listen, this is a relationship business. Yes, if you want, you can make money left and right, up and down doing the wholesaling. But the key thing is building that relationships, and the relationship, leads to that generational wealth, that generational legacy, and even more so, it's turnover with referrals. You help one, that one person's going to remember you for it, and they're going to refer you out. So I want to take note that anybody looking into either realtor or even being that mortgage loan officer, is, to your point, have that passion in helping people. So thank you. Thank you so much.
When I always sit down, I said my job title is loan officer, but really I'm a home ownership advocate. So for me, it allows a vocation to do something that you're passionate about. I think owning a home is one of the most important achievements, seriously, that we can get in this country. Okay, some ownership of something. You mentioned about generational wealth. Okay, and that's important because it does, and it even establishes a trend of a thought process. So when I'm doing it, like you said, hey, it's earning a living, but really it's like, man, you're helping people get in homes. I mean, it's really, you could change lives. I mean, for some folks, like we said, first-time home buyer. Sometimes it's the first-time home buyer in the family. And we know that in America, ownership is important. And starting out is really owning something. So you have to have, my humble opinion, is really, hey, do you want to help people? And if you have that passion, everything about the referrals, the money, etc., I just believe God creates that karma where you're going to get that because of the fact that you're in it not just for the monetary, but you're in it with a passion to be of assistance to people changing their lives.
Wise words, King. Wise words. Thank you. Thank you so much. Last question for you here. And we kind of touched on it a little bit. What are some of the down payment and closing cost assistance programs that one could be considered for?
Well, currently, and I primarily deal with Pennsylvania and Delaware. Now, although the bank does loans in Maryland, Virginia, DC, New Jersey, I said Delaware and Pennsylvania, that's our footprint, primarily Pennsylvania and Delaware. Let's say Pennsylvania, as we speak today, their programs, what we call Pennsylvania House of Finance Agency, keep it in layman's terms, where a person could possibly qualify for a second mortgage, no interest second mortgage that can be used towards closing costs, 5% of the sale price. That's throughout the whole state. Philadelphia has a program called Philly First, where a person can be considered up to $10,000. As we speak, also there's a program in Philadelphia called Philly Lift, where a person can be considered for up to $15,000. The bank has a program where a person can be considered up to $5,000. Now, in some instances, let me emphasize that these programs can sometimes be layered and combined. There are programs that have already expired, such as First Front Door, the Keys program that we work with. So some of these programs, what happens is that they're out for a certain period of time. They've got a certain amount of money. And when that money, of course, goes out, those programs may like they'll come back next year. All right. But and as I mentioned earlier about the 100% loan. So those right there are and then it's a turn to key program, by the way. where through PHDC, a person can qualify for a new construction home, and they may get up to $75,000 towards a $280,000 purchase. Now, these are all programs, again, that we work with, that I work with consistently. All programs that are closing costs normally have some type of, quote, income related feature, because it's not Oprah, everybody gets a car. We do have to qualify for it. Location may come into play as well. And again, that's going back to the news. So yeah, it's great to have the products, but hey, how do they actually work? And Delaware has also a state bond program where you can get closing cost assistance. And again, the bank has its own, and they can be combined with it. So it's a very good time to look to purchase a home. Now, and again, I always emphasize assistance. Again, there's no programs where I don't have to have any money to buy a house. Okay, there's no program such as that. But definitely there are programs to provide assistance for a wide range of folks. I mean, for example, K-Fit program, a person can be earning up to $196,000. And I can tell you, 8 years ago when I started with the bank, if your income was maybe $55,000, I'm talking about household, was hard to get assistance. But we know economic times have changed. And folks who were making $100,000 before, oh, I don't have to go home buy a seminar. I make X amount of money. But we know now prices have changed. And the biggest challenge, let's face it, buying a house a lot of times is having a savings. Okay, so again, that's why having those conversations to see what one qualifies for is so important. But it's a menu of different products. And I would say there's not too many products in the vicinity that we don't work with because, again, that's our calling, you know, to make sure we're not only as a bank, but also the collaboration to help folks get into homes.
Love that as always. Thank you so much, King. As we wrap up today, and of course, contact information will be at the bottom in the description of this interview. But can you just give that phone number one more time, how folks can get in contact with you?
267-979-6924.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right.
All right, Julius, thank you again so much for being on the RNG radio show. Definitely looking forward to having you come back on for part 2, but appreciate you as always, man.
No, appreciate you. All right, folks, let's get them teas, cookouts, you know, Super Bowl parties, etc.
Thank you for tuning in to the RNG radio show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.